can I just say one thing, man? Just one thing. This show really, like, it's definitely one of my favorite animes of all time. You know, the season 2 has really just lit my fire again and made me understand why I truly do adore this show and the characters that reside in this story. And this episode, it showed me something. One, it showed me that all these characters are, for the most part, cool. Maybe the weakest one being Uri, but it's amazing how I can go root for Uta, which throughout this whole episode they give you plenty of fan service to root for. You know, plenty of reason why in the looks department, as they did Michiru the episode before, and now I'm kind of. This is a very conflicting argument about who's best girl and who should end up with Tomiya, of course. But no, I love how they really flipped the switch essentially with Kato at the end. It didn't feel forced. It felt very tasteful, and you know, it's really subtle. It's really neat how they did that. And you know, I give a lot of credit to the music for one. The insert songs were great, and it kind of like soothed the scene per se with the fire and all that stuff going on at the school festival. But just the dialogue that Uta gave to Kato, it was really nice, and to see you see Kato's development. Like she's becoming more social. Like her social skills are essentially getting better. She's not as, you know, socially inept as she was before, and it's really cool to see like the way she's danced with, you know, Tomiya and stuff like that. It really went to show that, saying she's more of an outgoing person now, and she's even getting, you know, in her persona of the heroine Ruri. And, you know, that same scene is really cool to see that Ruri is essentially, well, a lonely writer, per se. And we understand why, you know, she's so worried about Tomiya picking up the scripts and seeing which one he liked. Because she's really reflecting that script off herself, right? And it's just really cool to see that, man. It's so cool to have this story, the dating simulating story, really be essentially based off of Uta. And the scene where they're saying yours is basically inside mine or whatever, and Tomiya freaks out, classic again. Tomiya, his squeals, his voice actor does such an amazing job with the comedy, you know, aspect of Tomiya's side. It's so good. He does such a great job. One of my favorite voice actors. I gotta find out what his name is. Definitely, out of all the subbed, dubbed, he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite. He does such a good job, right? So, you know, essentially what I'm trying to say here is this episode was the best episode so far of the series, and it was beautiful at the same time. But at the same time, I really want to dive into the whole scene where Uta was actually crying, and it showed the flashback of herself whenever she's asking Tomiya about the ending of her Metronome, you know, love book. And as before is being published and whatnot, and we know back in the past, you know, Tomiya's like, no, I can't say whether this is good or bad, because it's going to, I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to dictate whether you should change up the ending and or the conclusion or not. This is your story, not mine. And we see, you know, Tomiya he kind of shows a lot of emotion. He's like, this is not the story I wanted, like I envisioned. And even though he said this is a good light novel story, but this isn't a good dating sim or a visual novel gaming story. And you know, essentially that's kind of showing just because you're a good writer, whether it be a mangaka, whether it be a light novel, you know, writer, whether you write your own autobiography, doesn't mean you can step into the gaming world and storyboard like them. Doesn't mean you can step into the anime world and storyboard like them. Because they're different styles. Essentially, yes, the story in and of itself may be good, but it may not blend well with the game. It may not blend well with the anime. You know, and if you're a light novel, it may not blend well with the manga. And if you're a mangaka writer, it may not blend well into a light novel. That's because, you know, that's essentially why a lot of the time you actually see, like, Sword Art Online, light novel. But he doesn't write the manga. Reki Kawahara does not write the manga for a show. He only writes strictly the light novel. And it just goes to show that, yeah, you can write. You're professional. You're making millions of billions of dollars doing it. You know, them royalties are an amazing thing, like Uta said. But essentially doesn't mean you can write what other people write. Styles are completely different, and styles do matter. That's why, you know, people who, like ReZero, it's a web novel, but it gets edited down into a light novel so it fits into a light novel. And you know, essentially light novels are gonna want, you know, they're gonna be things that make the money, not the web novels per se. But back onto the main topic. Essentially, you know, Tomiya's like, I had, you know, he's writing this his own now, essentially because one, you know, Uta took notice that, okay, I can't write this kind of style, and two, he's writing it now because he wants it to truly be his own story. And yeah, that's partially Uta's decision, saying, yeah, I can't write this then. But she's essentially saying, I remember what you told me one time. You have to write this story. If you truly want it to be your story, you have to write it. And we see that, you know, he's taking part of Uta's clip and mixing that in. Once again, that comedy aspect of your inside mine or whatever is hilarious. Especially it's like, wait, you're talking about the script revisions, right? That's the squeal he does. But, you know, essentially, now she's a revisionist, right? After all this is said and done. And it's cool to see that aspect of it too, because now essentially she's done, but Kato even states that she has some other stuff she wants her to help her with, which I'm wondering what that is per se. But great episode. Kato, it really just goes to show that Kato she's a bland character, but I want to say she's an original character, even though she isn't an original character, if you guys understand what I mean. But I'm predicating this off of just how well she ricochets with Uta, especially, and Uri, and Tomoe. Just, you know, these scenes where it's supposed to matter, it doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound like, for some reason, like that whole dance scene, did her voice sound bland? Sure, but it felt like there's so much meaning behind what she is saying. And a character I guess I somewhat relate this to, not near on this kind of level, because, you know, this show is way more goofier a lot of time, but like a character like Zenobia from High School DxD really does come to mind. It's great to see characters develop like that, because, you know, there's a lot of times we have a bland character and they stay a bland character, like they're soft-spoken, really don't show emotion. But a character from DxD like Zenobia, we definitely see that she went from this kind of like isolated life to being around a lot of people, you know, this high social life, you know, with a lot of social interaction. And we see her develop, and we see Kato doing that in almost the same way. I don't know if they're going to go that route, but we definitely see it happening, and it's so cool to watch and see happening. And besides that, if Uta is going to lose, and if the title, How to Raise Your Boring Girlfriend, quote unquote, Kato's the boring one, was essentially, if you guys made this far in the video, definitely not comfortable what you think of this, Kato's the boring one. And the English translation is technically How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend, in order to synonym. Well, looks like Kato's going to end up being the girlfriend. You know, How to Raise Your Boring Girlfriend, yeah. So, she's going to lose to someone. And if this is a foregone conclusion, title dropping saying who's going to end up with who, if it's Kato, I'm alright with that. I think the only one I wouldn't be alright with is Uri. But that is what it is. But as always, guys, you've been Hex. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Hex25. See you guys next time. Peace. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.